This is Coffee Talk on a Thursday morning. It is October 28th. It is going to be a fairly busy weather day, we think. So we're going into our kind of higher level of coverage mode, which means in the corner of the screen, you're going to see the weather system that more than likely will be impacting Central Florida over the course of the day today. That is a cold front, and of course, associated with that cold front, a squall line, a nasty line of showers and thunder showers. So through the course of the day today, more than likely you're going to see more of me on social media. More than likely you're going to see more of your whole first warning weather team keeping you up to date. Let's start off with what's going on through the course of the day today. We are watching a line of showers and thunder showers marching toward the Sunshine State. There's a look at the satellite and radar, and you can see it is a cold front that is moving our direction, okay? That cold front is going to be offering up showers and thunder showers on a stronger level today, and then will eventually give us the opportunity to cool down. That said, let's get to our forecast for today, and then we'll keep you updated with everything. There's a live look at the Kennedy Space Center. It is a cloudy morning, and I will say that looking at our tower cams over the last few hours' time, the old adage, pink sky in morning, sailor take warning, certainly plays out because the skies were on fire this morning. It was beautiful, but they were lit up. Temperatures are a little warmer than we thought, which is actually not a great thing. That means more instability in place. 71 degrees right now in the city, beautiful. We're at 75 degrees in Leesburg, 72 in the Villages, and 69 for us up into DeLand. Dew points have certainly come up. Remember, dew point temperature is a direct measurement of moisture in the atmosphere, and as is such, more moisture means the opportunity to get more storms. So let's get right into the forecast for today. All right, you've heard us talk about this for a few days. There is the threat for strong to severe storms. That is indeed playing out for us today. Let me just use this version that way it doesn't interfere. So this morning, mostly cloudy skies. We will be watching a few passing showers. Then little by little through the day, you're going to watch those storm chances rise. And it's really going to be into the afternoon. That's when I think we're going to be tracking that highest threat for showers and thunder showers, of course, to get onto the stronger side, okay? We're not talking about massive chaos. We're not talking about a massive panic. I want to be very clear on that. But it is going to be a day that you are going to want to stay dialed into the weather, okay? And so, of course, this is a good time to remind you I am going to be tweeting out like a banshee. Another good opportunity to remind you that our first warning weather is inside the WESH 2 mobile app. All you have to do is turn on those alerts, okay? Those alerts are right into the notification section. I would highly suggest you turn on those alerts because those alerts are going to give you the opportunity at any point in time to get warning, whether it's this cold front and storm system, whether it's another cold front and storm system. All right, so let's talk about the threats, and then we're going to get into the timing. All right, first and foremost, today's severe risk is a level 2 out of 5, meaning not just a possibility. We think there's going to be scattered strong to severe storms. Highlighted in yellow is all of our coverage area, just about, with the exception of like southern Brevard County. So what does that yellow mean? Scattered. Out of 5, it means there's a level 2 threat, or scattered, not isolated, not one or two, but several showers and thunder showers could get onto the strong side. And that is our concern. That is why we're going to be watching for that risk of strong to severe storms today. Winds, we think most storms will carry winds of 35 to 40 miles an hour, but we do see the dynamics in place where we could see some of these cells getting a little stronger with winds of 60 miles an hour. A severe thunderstorm carries winds of 58 miles per hour or greater, and we do think that we're going to be into that register, okay? There is a risk of isolated tornadoes in there. And while the definition shows large hail possible, I don't think we're going to be into that level. So let's do this. We can actually break down the risks around Central Florida. First off, On a scale of 1 to 10, we're on a 4-5 in terms of damaging winds. I think for most of Central Florida, that is going to be our biggest concern, is straight line winds as these nasty storms move through. I do want to show you, though, the tornado outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, also at a 4-5 for most of our area. That has gone up into the metro. This was a 4-5 for like the westernmost areas yesterday. They have shifted that a little more. So the threat for tornadoes is a little higher than we had first thought, at least in the metro area, okay? And then when we break down the hail threat, it's a 1. The dynamics do not look to be in place for large hail, okay? So I think that it's going to be straight line winds, and I think that it's going to be the threat of an isolated tornado or two. I think that we may have several tornado warnings for today, all right? So let's look at Futurecast and just kind of get us through the day, all right? Here's Futurecast model showing this morning. And it's important to note, and while we're talking about this morning, let me just do this. Let me just share with you the radar as it stands right now. Because we're quiet, I kind of skipped over, but I do want to do my due diligence here. Our first warning, Doppler radar, is pretty quiet in our area, though notice just off to the west of Ocala, Marion County, we do have a tornado warning that's in play there. Let's take a look at it. That tornado warning is in effect very near Cross City. That is for Dixie County. And that tornado warning runs for about the next 22 minutes, okay? So tornado warning. What does a tornado warning mean? A tornado warning means that there is indication, whether on Doppler radar or by ground truth. And I'm just kind of looking around to see. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see a little bit of rotation right in there. Kind of see, yeah, I mean, I could see why they issued it. But that kind of goes to show you, right? That shows you the atmosphere that we're in. When you see reds and greens close together on the velocity channel, that is an indicator of rotation. If that was a tornado, it would be a rain-wrapped tornado, which is certainly not a great thing. But at this point in time, that is obviously outside of our area. But I do want to point out, if we watch its overall motion, it does lift north of us. But there will be more of these storms that are going to be working into our area over the course of the day today, which is why we have to watch it, okay? All right, we'll go back to our first morning Doppler radar. We'll go back to our coverage area. We are quiet, though you can see there is that first batch of rain coming in from the Gulf of Mexico that's going to be knocking on Marion, Sumter, and Polk Counties' doorsteps here in the not-so-distant future. So let's put a storm track on that, and then we'll go back to Futurecast. Of course, the sun's coming up. Let me close my blinds so that I don't have my face blown out here on... There we go. Just so that I can look a little better for you. All right, so there's that line of storms. Let's track that, and it's moving at about 40 or so miles an hour, okay? So let's put a track on this line. Again, this line is not severe. It's just the first line, and I want to make sure that we know exactly when it arrives. So based on a 40 mile per hour motion... Okay, this line, when does it arrive in your area? And that's just kind of assuming it continues its current forward motion. So we're looking at Lakeland at 8:30. We're looking at Haines City at 9:02. Ocala at 9:07. Kissimmee at 9:26. And then Orlando, assuming this line holds its own and continues on that current speed and trajectory, 9:40 is when we'll be watching this line marching into the metro, okay? Important to note, this is not a severe line, at least most of it, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't pulse up. On the northern side of that line is that red cell, is that tornado-warned cell. So it's something that we're going to have to watch. Tiffany's asking, do you think we'll get under a tornado watch soon? It's probably going to be one of those late mornings where I think we'll probably get into a tornado watch. We'll have to see how that plays out. Now, for those of you that are not... You know, we've got a lot of people that do not hang out here all the time, all right? So let's talk about the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning. What is the difference? We talk a lot about these. A tornado watch means that conditions are favorable for tornadoes to form, and it would not surprise me if later this morning we get placed under a tornado watch. Why? Because tornadoes could form. The conditions will be there. It's not the primary concern, but it is a concern, okay? A tornado warning, like what we have there north and west of our coverage area, means that a tornado has been spotted either on radar or by somebody watching, okay? Ground truth, a report from a law enforcement officer, somebody called in, whatever the case may be, okay? So that's the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning. I think that we'll probably see ourselves under a tornado watch later today because the threat of today's nasty weather primarily is this afternoon, okay? A lot of you have been asking about the timeline. This is our timeline as it stands right now for the worst of the weather. So Sumter, Lake, Marion counties, our westernmost counties, highlighted in green on this map, early afternoon, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. The metro area, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock. And then out east, Brevard, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, into that time frame, okay? Ann says, I love the tacos way of explaining it. Yeah. A tornado watch means you've got your ingredients there. Here, let me put this back on so that we can go over it. Stand by 1 second. Let me just save that so that it goes to the top of the screen. That way Kellyanne can use it. So, the tacos way of explaining things. A taco watch means you've got the ingredients. You went to the supermarket. A taco warning means, baby, we're making tacos. Same thing in the weather world. Tornado watch. Tornadoes are possible. The ingredients are there. Tornado warning. We think it's happening or is very likely to be happening, okay? Nicole says, got to pick up my kid from school in Ormond at 2:30 and normally a walker. Think I'll have to drive today. I always say in situations like this, if you're asking, the answer is err on the side of caution, right? I'm chatting with the superintendent of Seminole County Schools. You got to be kidding me. There's already a ground stop. Hold on a second. Let me just tweet that out. There's already a ground stop in effect at Orlando International Airport. Let me just tweet that out. All right, a ground stop. What does a ground stop mean? That means that flights coming and going are kind of starting to delay because of weather conditions, okay? Let me just read to you the email. Ground stop in effect for arriving traffic due to weather thunderstorms. Okay, so that's from the FAA. That's just coming in. So now we're going to start to watch delays at Orlando International Airport. Let's see how we're looking right now. Live look at flight delays at Orlando International Airport. For right now, most flights are on time. 5 flights are delayed. That number, with the ground stop in place now, that number is going to start to rise, okay? So just an FYI, if you've got travel plans, especially if you're coming to Central Florida, that ground stop being in effect now is going to really mess things up in the National Airspace System because once you start to get delays, the problem is they just snowball. All right, so there's Futurecast. I think Futurecast is doing a good job showing the rains out west to start. There's that main line, though. 12, 12:30, 1 o'clock. We can see that main line, that squall line of storms working into our western areas. Marion, Sumter County, that's 1 p.m., okay? It would just be lighter showers across the metro at this point in time, all right? Let's continue on. 2 o'clock, it's starting to march into the metro, and we may be running a little ahead of timing. 3, 4 o'clock, kind of getting out into our eastern area. So I think that our timeline may be a little behind. We may have to make some tweaks to that timeline, but this is what we're looking at for right now, okay? Is through 4, basically 1 to about 5 o'clock is what this flavor of Futurecast, which this is the rapid refresh. It runs every hour to give us as much information as we can, as up-to-date information as we can. Then there's 5 p.m. Moving into Brevard. So it looks like it's going to be like a noon to 5 event, noon to 5, noon to 6 event. All right, that's that flavor of Futurecast. Let's look at the other flavor of Futurecast. 10, 11, kind of watching those storms moving in about 12, 1 o'clock. There's that squall line. Again, around 1 o'clock, going with that squall line marching in. 4 o'clock into the metro. This one's a little slower notice. And then kind of clearing just thereafter. All right, let's do one more Futurecast run. lunchtime into 1 o'clock, there comes that line. 2, 3, 4, it's marching through the metro area. And then by about 5, 6 o'clock. So I would say that most of us from about noon to 5, that's the timeline for the worst of the weather. Just kind of taking an average of all of those model runs. Now, let's take and break Futurecast down into individual threats. We'll start with hail, which we had chatted, not really looking. I mean, you may get 1 or 2 cells that want to throw together some hail, but it's not looking like a major hail event. Let's look at the rotation in Futurecast. There's definitely some rotation. It's not huge, but there's definitely some rotation in there. You can kind of see these brighter shades there. That gives you an idea of what the model's going with. And then, of course, the thunder product, the thunder and lightning product. This is just where you look for like some of the stronger cells. And you can see 2 o'clock through, there's definitely going to be some of those stronger cells that move through. All right? So, for what it's worth, definitely going to be a day to stay weather aware, my friends. I think that we've got the threat of tornadoes and straight line winds are going to be our biggest concerns today. All right? Why? Well, you can see on the bottom left corner of your screen, but here it is kind of in motion. Warm air feeding up, cold air diving in behind a cold front, and as they slam together right on the front, you get the line of storms. Afterward, though, it's important to note, we're looking unbelievably beautiful after this front moves through. The weekend forecast is looking dynamite. Seriously dynamite. But until then, we've got that risk of nastier storms to move into our area, okay? Anybody have any questions about that? I've seen a lot of comments, and forgive me, I'm going to just kind of try and play this through here. And while I'm chatting, I'm going to update this. I want to text Kellyanne really quick. Hold on 1 second. You know what? Let me just... stand by 1 second, friends. Sorry. Just letting her know a couple of things about the timing and threats and things like that. Like I always say, real life is more important than coffee talk. And in terms of this, I just wanted to let Kellyanne, I just wanted to text Kellyanne, so my apologies. Let's see here. Let's see here. Lots of lightning with these lines today. I do think that we're going to have some decent lightning with them. Yeah, I definitely do. Winds are picking up a little now. They're now 9 miles an hour. May not get anything. Yeah, I mean, again, it's going to be breezy because the dynamics are such that we're kind of watching these storms marching in, and they're not here yet. You can see it in the bottom left part of your screen there. That's where they are right now. Okay, that's where they are right now. And as that cold front continues to march in our direction, they're going to continue to get closer and closer. Thank you, Eric. You're the best at keeping us all safe. Judy, it's my commitment, seriously, to give you zero hype, to give you just information and nothing more, no concern, just information. All right? That's all. Can the people who work from home get a power outage just for like noon to 5? Just asking. It's cool enough we don't get that bad. Yeah, well, that's not my department, but, you just never know. Cindy says, I really hate severe weather. I've been in a tornado, hurricanes, and an earthquake. All I have left on a bucket list is a volcano. Yeah, I'm not a fan of any of those, frankly. But, I just want to make sure that we're all kind of dialed into this. Sharon, if you live in a manufactured home, would you leave it this afternoon? I will say this, that... we get many opportunities for severe weather, right? If you're ever concerned, it's kind of like in the parent world, right? Like if you're ever concerned at all, leave, go to a shopping mall and do a little shopping, something like that. The good news is this is going to be a line of storms that moves through. So it's not like a 6-hour or a 12-hour timeline. Like we're going to see this coming. So that said, we'll have plenty of opportunity to know when it's going to get bad. But again, if you live in a manufactured home and there's any worry, yeah, find somewhere else to be as the storms move in, right? We need the rain. Yeah, we do. Cami, should we expect anything crazy in Oviedo today or tomorrow? Sorry, just joining. Yeah, today's going to be a weather day. Today's going to be a day where we could be talking about some nastier storms. So, yeah, just for what it's worth. Basically, the idea is this. For right now, the storms are nasty, right? For right now, they're coming ashore little by little, okay? Just got an update, by the way, from the Storm Prediction Center. Do want to post this. There is a 60% chance of a weather watch being issued for the Big Bend area, okay? So at this point in time, and this just came down literally 10 minutes ago, as this cold front and line of nasty storms marches in, the Storm Prediction Center has just published what they call a mesoscale discussion. That mesoscale discussion meaning that there is the threat of severe weather, and that area highlighted in red very well may get placed under a severe thunderstorm watch or tornado watch. I would think it would be a tornado watch, just in my years of experience tracking it. And then, of course, into later this afternoon, more than likely we would see that placed into our area as well. Okay, so 60% chance of a weather watch. For us in Central Florida, what does all this mean? Here's kind of the threats, okay? High threat for just straight line winds, very gusty storms, medium threat of severe winds, and a medium threat of tornadoes. Like I said to you just a few moments ago, the Storm Prediction Center kind of shifted up the Orlando Metro's tornado threat. So it's something we're going to need to watch. The dynamics are there. And of course, we saw just a few moments ago on the live radar that there is a tornado warning active. I believe it was for Dixie County. Let's check back in. That has been allowed to expire, but you can see very clearly that line of storms kind of marching in, and it was this cell here. You can very clearly see that it weakened as it moved in. Let me switch radar sources from our radar. You always want to use the radar closest, okay? Let's switch over to the velocity, and let's go to storm relative velocity. And let's go back. And right as this thing was making its way ashore, it showed right there. You see right in there, and I'm just going to zoom in. Granted, there's not a ton of people that live here around Cross City, but I am showing this because you see how the red and the green was very close together just before 8 o'clock this morning? That was an indicator. The red is wind going in one direction. The green is wind going in another direction. And so when you've got that little couplet coming ashore, that's an indicator that there could be something rotating. So that's why the National Weather Service went ahead and issued that tornado warning. Thankfully, at this point, our live radar data out of Jacksonville is not showing that. It is still some nasty storms moving up there toward Lake City. But we continue further to the south, and you can see this line of storms from Spring Hill. There's Zephyr Hills. We heard people talking about that a little bit ago. Barbara Ford, if you're in Tarpon Springs and can hear me, if you're my brother, if you're in Pinellas County and can hear me, you're not done with the rain. You're done with that morning round. But look at what's out in the Gulf of Mexico. That is the storm line that I think is the stronger line. Okay, so that's the one that we're going to have to watch for the threat of severe weather later on this morning, late this morning into the afternoon, okay? Let's see here. I'm just trying to see here. Good morning, trying out YouTube. Juan, I see on YouTube. Good morning to you. Sandra, do you think kids' sport practices may be canceled? My son has soccer around 6 in Osceola. It may be done at that point in time. I mean, if we're just being honest, it may be done at that point in time. It may have moved through. I would say, though, that that's the timeline where it's a possibility, Sandra. It just depends. You know, if I was a soccer coach, I would make a game time decision on that. I would wait and see how things play out over the course of the day, right? And then I would do my best to keep parents updated, because once that nasty line of storms moves through, you can practice. I mean, would the field be a little muddy? Sure, but I'm not the one cleaning your car out. But until that storm line moves in. Yeah, that's the concern. Okay. Wind strength with these, I mean, they're already, if the storms themselves are just moving at 40 miles an hour, you already have 40 mile per hour winds in there. Add in any intensity and you could be getting into severe criteria very quickly. So some storms will gust certainly over 60 miles an hour. That is damaging winds, okay? Yes, during the summertime, we get severe threats all the time. All the time. There's just a little extra juice in the atmosphere. There's just a little extra juice in the atmosphere, all right? So there's 2 o'clock. You can see the storms out in our western areas, marching into the metro by about 3, 4 o'clock, and then getting out east by about 4, 5 o'clock, at least according to the latest model data, okay? Again, that's just kind of the overall idea for today. We're going to be doing what we call nowcasting. Nowcasting just means that we're going to be watching the trends and making adjustments as is needed. Aaron says, I don't like tornadoes. Aaron, I don't either, bud. But that's why I'm here to track for you. I want to make sure you and your family know everything there is to know when it comes to severe threats. And of course, you can always get your first warning data by heading over to the WESH 2 mobile app. Turn on those alerts. Listen, I know that this is a shameless plug, but when it came to developing this app, I was a real putz about it. I was a real putz about making sure that there was severe weather alerts into the app. Seriously, because that's a very important thing. So turn on those weather alerts, because for today, when we look at the threats, again, the biggest threats, when we look at our kind of, we call it a categorical threat meter, okay? For the metro, for most of Central Florida, the damaging wind threat is about a 4 or 5 out of 10. All right, when you look at the tornado scale is about a 4 or 5 out of 10 from about I-4 north and west. Now, when you get into East Orlando, out toward Brevard County, even southern Volusia, it's about a 2, 3 out of 10. So the threat goes down for tornadoes. You still have the straight line wind threat, but your threat for tornadoes goes down just a little bit. So, just one of those things that we need to be monitoring very, very closely, okay? Not raining in Brooksville yet. Yep. Palm Coast around 245. Listen, 245 is in that timeline. Would you say 245? That's 3 o'clock. That's 245 right there. According to Futurecast, there are going to be some of those storms in your vicinity in that timeline. Yeah. Marion County, yes. Joe Mary, absolutely. The threat of severe weather. As a matter of fact, Marion County may be placed under a watch in short order. Let me read this update from the Storm Prediction Center when they issued this, all right? Intensifying thunderstorm development may pose increasing potential to produce tornadoes inland of coastal areas across much of northern and central Florida, perhaps as far west as Tallahassee by 10 a.m. By 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time. Trends are being monitored for the possibility of a watch issuance, okay? So that's what that red box is. Trends are looking like they may want to issue a tornado watch. That would include more than likely northern Sumter, Lake, Volusia, westernmost Flagler County, Putnam, and of course Marion County. Okay? So just want to be vivid. I like how you put the radar in the corner. Well, and it's funny because once I hop off of Coffee Talk, I'm going to make it a little more advanced where it's kind of like showing different spots. So Coffee Talk is always evolving, and I want to make sure to keep you updated just as best as we can. I have an appointment at 9:40 in Plant City. Is it safe to go? Yeah, Evelyn. We're fine this morning. You can see that line of storms is way off in the Gulf of Mexico. That's where it is right now. All right, so that's what we're looking at. So today, again, and we've talked about this a bit, today there is a level 2 risk of severe weather, meaning not just one or two, but several strong to severe thunderstorms, okay? Severe means winds of 60 miles an hour or greater. It means tornado. It means large hail. I don't think hail is going to be a big concern for us. I do think, and by the way, just to put it into perspective, it's not just us either. This threat of severe weather continues up the coastline through even to the Carolinas today. All right. But of course, our concern is what's going on here in Central Florida. Okay. Will it all be done by 6 p.m.? Annie, it depends where you are. In Brevard County, more than likely it'll still be in the area. But for the metro and points off to the west, it should be done. I would say that the further west you are, the sooner the storms march in. And then, of course, the sooner they march out. All right. Good morning from Suntree. Elisa, good morning to you. What's the red thing poking out of the front? Oh, that's a good question. That is what's called a warm front. That's not good when you talk about severe weather. So let me bring it to you full screen. If I can find that graphic. Hold on a second. There you are. All right. So that is called a warm front. So what that means is that it is adding humidity and moisture and destabilizing the atmosphere. The perfect weather scenario you get is a warm front and then a cold front. Basically, exactly what we see right there. Because the dynamics are much more in play. You're humidizing the atmosphere. You're working it up, juicing it up. So this is a classic severe weather scenario. And I would take a step further to say that this is a very clear indicator for what is to come in the LRC, for what is to come ahead in the winter and in the spring. And this part of the pattern is going to loop over and over again in the spring, in the winter and spring. This is going to give us more threats of severe weather over the coming days and weeks and months, okay? Let's see here. Michael says, wish I could be smart enough to work at the Storm Prediction Center. Yeah, you and me both. I've had a little bit of real coffee. Just a little bit, yeah. Annie, good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. Was outside checking things for wind safety. A bit of rain in Nokomis, but not much wind yet. Yeah, I mean, the wind is definitely going to be picking up. Aaron, when do you think we may see the most severe weather here in Winter Garden, Orlando? So I would say probably about 2, 3, 4 o'clock. That looks to be the timeline for now. Of course, that could be adjusted as is needed. No football practice today, Jennifer says. Yeah. Kelly, should I be highly concerned of tornadoes in Sanford? I would not say highly concerned. I would say if we look to the, and this is what we call the categorical, threat outlook, okay? So for today, Central Florida is a 4-5 for tornado threat. I mean, that's elevated. It's not nothing. It's not monstrous. I would say that we could be talking about the threat for tornadoes today. And we've already had one tornado outside of our coverage area up into the Big Bend, but that kind of goes to show you that the atmosphere is set up for that sort of thing. All right? Good morning from Soto. Good morning to you, Jessica. Eric says, I appreciate your insight as always. My pleasure. Constance says, afternoon flight cancellations. Listen, Orlando International Airport is already running on a ground stop. Let's look at conditions around the southeast. Dallas-Fort Worth also on a nice big hefty delay. The rest of the country not looking too bad. But let's see if more flights are delaying up at Orlando. Yeah, more flights are delaying. That ground stop that's in effect. So a ground stop has been issued for Orlando International Airport. And aviators, you're going to know what this is. For those that are not into aviation, basically what happens is when the weather starts turning, the FAA issues a ground stop, meaning all of the flights that are about to take off to come here, they say, hold up, you're going to stay where you are because, quiet Siri, they're going to tell everybody to hold up because we don't know that we're going to be able to get everybody landed in due time. So they start holding everybody. So ground stops are kind of a big deal in the aviation world. Right now, most flights coming and going are on time, but there are 12 delays. I can guarantee you we're going to see those delays building and building and building through the day. Okay? As Danny Trainer would say, bring your pets in. It's a good point. Since we're living in our RV right now, Nikki says, I spent yesterday getting the outside area cleaned up. Very smart. Lots of word comments on the Wekiva Falls Facebook group. Let them know. We'll be watching it. Just let them know to have a way to be warned. You know, whether it's the Wesh 2 mobile app, whether it's a NOAA weather radio, I always suggest having a NOAA weather radio and at least one phone app, right? I mean, that's just the big deal. That's just the big deal. Where are they sending the planes that are en route already? What they end up doing is they try to bring them in, and if they can't get them all in because the airport goes IFR, then you have to put them into holding patterns and divert if need be. I haven't looked to see if there are any diversions. I mean, Orlando International Airport should be fine, but it's not just, you've got to understand, it's not just that airport. There are other pieces of the puzzle, right? So the airport airspace is fine, but remember you got to bring planes through. So like there's a narrow corridor there, there's a narrow corridor up there, bring them out in east. So, it's just a matter of what your availability for airspace is. So, yeah. Sydney, let's see here. Sydney says or asks, for Ocala, is it a concern that if there were a tornado, if it'd be a big one? I'm from Tornado Alley with big tornadoes, and I have several anxiety with tornadoes. So in Florida, our tornadoes are typically very weak, EF0, EF1 variety. That said, we do get stronger ones in scenarios like this. And I would just say these are things we're going to have to watch because that tornado threat is of a moderate level. Okay, so yeah, just keep it in mind. We're going to warn you. Now, for Marion County, you are kind of in a bit of a radar gap. The Jacksonville and Tampa National Weather Service radars are pretty decently far away. I think our WESH first warning Doppler radar is the closest radar to Marion County, and we're certainly going to be watching it. But if there's one thing that I'd love to make sure we know, what is the difference between a watch and a warning? Okay, what is the difference? A watch, and you may have seen this meme online, the tacos. A watch means you've gone to the supermarket and you've gotten the ingredients, or conditions are favorable. The ingredients are there for tornadoes to form. A tornado warning means you're making tacos, right? Or a tornado is either happening on radar, we think it's a likelihood of it happening, or somebody has seen the thing. Okay, that's the difference between a watch and a warning. A warning means we are warning you it's happening. A watch means, hey, we're watching out for it, okay? So the taco thing, it became a big meme. Everybody loved it, and yeah, it's a big deal. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page with this, okay? Nikki, Eric, I've definitely shared your page to others in the resort. Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate it. And I will tell you, too, that I'm going to be posting through the day today for sure. But if need be to go live, I will be going live, my biggest thing, and my wife knows, as big of a putz as I am about it, my wife knows, like, if there's a tornado warning, if there's a true threat to people, I'm going to be here trying to talk to you, trying to keep you safe. Because that is my biggest priority. All right? Michael, I thought a ground stop means airport is stopped flying. Well, there's different levels of ground stop. There's different levels of that. A ground stop just means that they're holding IFR clearances from certain areas. So if I went and dug in, here, give me a second, I'll just look. If I dug into the ground stop that's in effect right now, the ground stop, all right, here's the advisory. Ground stop departure facilities include Atlanta Center, DC Center, Houston Center, Jax Center. Average delays are right now running about a half an hour. Okay. So total delays running nearly 300 minutes, maximum is an hour. Average delays are running about a half an hour. So yeah, what it means is that any flight coming out of Atlanta Center's airspace, DC Center's airspace, Houston Center's airspace, or Jax Center's airspace, they're holding them. And they're going to start. Now, the further flights, they're letting them all come. So if you've got like a Transcon or something, I don't see New York Center. I don't see Boston Center. So those flights are departing fine. But it's shorter flights that are being held. So it all depends. It's just, there's different levels of those sorts of things. Yeah. Betty, how's Naples today? A family on vacation there, please. So, I mean, I think that there's going to be storms tonight, but, it just depends on how this works. If we look at the threat for severe weather into South Florida, Naples is in the level 1 out of 5 threat. So Naples is isolated. There may be a stronger storm, okay? There may be a stronger storm that goes severe in the area. All right, let's look at Futurecast one more time. We've looked at it like 4 times, but I want to make sure everybody's on the same page here. So a little bit of rain this morning, and then there comes the line of storms around 12:30, 1 o'clock. Our western areas, getting into the metro by about 2, 3 o'clock, and then pushing out east by about 5, 6 o'clock, okay? So that's going to be right there. That's 2:30, 3 o'clock. That's that line of storms pushing through the area. Seth is asking, mesocyclone supercells today? Yeah, could be. Definitely could be. Today's the kind of scenario for that, indeed. Probably won't see this, but what flight tracking app do you use to see what's flying overhead? You could use Flight Radar 24. You could use FlightAware. I use an ADS-B app to track. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. Michael says, excellent explanation of ground stop. We're actually excited up here in New Haven, Connecticut. Flying 737s out of Tweed. Oh, very cool. What generation of 73s? Are they NGs? Are they old? What's the weather going to be like Southwest Ocala around the time when the kids will be getting off the bus? I don't know what time that is, Rebecca, because the bus stop times can be anywhere from 2 to 4. But for Ocala, you can see the worst weather moves into your area around 1 o'clock. Okay? Around 1 o'clock is when the worst of the weather marches in your area. All right? Really overcast and Lynn, no rain yet. All right, that's good. That's good for now. So again, just to summarize, there's a 60% likelihood that we're going to see a tornado watch issued for areas highlighted there in red. That does include portions of Marion, Lake, Sumter, Volusia, and Flagler counties. All right, so we may see a tornado watch issued in those areas. I think they're older Southwest plains. Makes sense. Like 400s. That'd be fun. Dash 400s. All right. What's not fun is today's weather, the threat of stronger storms. Let's come back over to our first warning Doppler radar. For now, happy to say that we've got some heavier rains. Let's track these moving into, speaking of Southwest Ocala, a couple of flashes of lightning, rumbles of thunder in there. You can see around Dunellen. We'll come over. This is our radar's velocity product. We'll switch over to Tampa just to compare. Yeah, we're doing all right. All right, so that's our radar. So some good heavy rains moving into Dunellen. If you live in Ocala, the rains are going to continue to march in your direction. Rutland, Lake Pennsauken, Bushnell, Lacoochee. You can see some of those heavier rains. Let's look in the velocity product. Happy not to see any kind of areas of rotation. Let me just lapse this, make sure. Yeah. There are little kinks, though. They're definitely, there are these little pieces of energy there. So something we're going to have to watch, my friends. All right? All right, my friends. That's what we've got. The good news, by the way, the good news in all of this is that once this is done, our forecast looks great. I have a feeling I'm going to be talking to you a few times during the course of the day today. Call me crazy. All right, so this is our 7-day forecast. 85 today with those showers and those thunder showers. All right, after that, a couple of showers maybe around Friday, Saturday, but look at your temperatures this weekend. Oh my goodness. Highs in the 70s, morning lows in the 50s and 60s. It is going to be so nice. Man, that's going to be nice. Today, not nice. Today we've got that threat for stronger storms. So again, we'll be talking. I have a feeling we'll be doing several updates through the day. All right. Level 2 out of 5 threat for severe weather. Stay tuned, stay weather aware, and as I always say, my friends, have a way to get your first warnings, okay? On the WESH 2 weather app, turn on the alerts. Have 2 ways. Especially, like if this was an overnight event, I'd be screaming, have 2 ways to get warned. But in today's case, I'm I'm not going to bark at you like that. But really and truly, you just never know. Especially fall, winter, and spring, these storms could get feisty. All right? These storms could get feisty. And we always like to keep you ahead of the storm. That's why it's the whole first warning thing. All right, listen, be the sunshine in someone else's day. I'm going to keep you up to date throughout the day. Meteorologist Kellyanne Class is in the Weather Center now. Cam Tran joins, actually probably in the next 10, 15 minutes. And then, of course, Chief Meteorologist Tony Manolfi with live coverage starting at 4 o'clock. All right? All right, be the sunshine in someone else's day. I will see you for updates later.